Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the finest thing to hit the internet since, whatever the hell this is. I am your pilled-up announcer, Bovon Fingerman, and in honor of today's movie, I just finished eating 4 meatball sandwiches. Now, please welcome our special guests, Shania and Mark Twain.
Utah, get me too.
Welcome to the House of Pain, folks.
I keep getting bit by Bovon's fleas.
Yo, those are not flea bites, Shania. Time to hit the old penicillin, sis.
And now, dearest bottom feeders, please give a bankrupt hello to your humble host. He's broker than Robin Williams' character in The Fisher King. It's Bum Ticklin' Banjoni.
He looks like Porky Pig's dick.
Shut up. Okay, lowlifes. Today's movie is a request by one of our longtime viewers. In fact, I guess he's one of our favorite viewers. But that's not saying much, because you're all terrible, terrible people.
Yeah, thanks for the request, Rusty. Hope you enjoy our stupid breakdown.
Yeah, but also piss off, Rusty. Oh, Barry sees the smart-ass comments you've been posting. Here's one where, yet again, he was hounding us relentlessly to review Point Break. And then we got this little remark. Barry, honestly, it's a crime you're not bigger. I mean, it's a crime that the channel isn't bigger. You're big enough already. Smartass. Then he left this little quip on our review of Annihilation. Barry, getting banged by a mutant bear has got to be the most action you've gotten in a while. I hope your what the hell is that word?
Never mind that, Barry. Yeah, he's talking about the time you got reamed by the bear monster.
Oh, God. Stop it. Please kill me.
Right, you gotta admit that was pretty funny.
You got a smart mouth, Rusty, and you made old Barry cry.
Barry, you know you can't afford to have emotions, bruh. Now tell him about the production.
Okay, gang. So first, let's talk about director Kathryn Bigelow. Even if you don't recognize the name, you've probably seen some of her movies, including Zero Dark 30 and The Hurt Locker.
Yeah, and during the production of Point Break, Katie Bigelow was married to the maverick deep-sea diver Stockton Rush.
Nah, dipshit. She was married to James Cameron.
Yeah?
You know, the guy who didn't implode 2 miles beneath the fucking ocean.
Hold up. I thought James Cameron was married to Linda Hamilton.
Yeah, but that didn't happen until after he and Kathryn divorced. Look, the guy has been through like 5 marriages, which is actually pretty normal and not that bad. Anyway, it's been well established that James Cameron and Kathryn Bigelow were responsible for doctoring up the script for Point Break, despite the fact that they're uncredited. As usual, there was a big old shit stink over who should play Johnny Utah. Some of the candidates included Matthew Broderick, Charlie Sheen, Willem Dafoe, and Val Kilmer. In fact, the studio pushed for Johnny Depp, but Big Bigelow had other designs.
But Kathryn Bigelow had a thing for Keanu Reeves.
Kathryn was fixated on him.
And speaking of Keanu Reeves...
Oh, here it comes.
Not again.
Even though nobody in this house believes me, it's a stone-cold fact that I got to meet Keanu Reeves by chance in like 2005 when I was in Manhattan.
Now, Barry, you know damn well you've never been to Manhattan. Right, you never even been out of state.
There he sat, in the middle of Broadway, right next to his publicist or agent or whatever. I got to shake his hand, and he sounded just like he does in the movies.
That picture looks like a goat's ass. That could be anybody, brah.
It could be anyone, Barry. How do we know that's not David Schwimmer taking one of his patented public dumps?
Sons of bitches. Listen, do I go around claiming I've met every actor under God's pestilence, son?
Well...
See? That's how you know old Barry's telling the truth.
You're still full of shit, Barry. Now let's talk story.
Okay, so most of the film is set in Southern California near Malibu or LA or whatever.
Yeah, but we start the movie in Hogan's Alley, where young Johnny Utah has just perforated a bunch of low-res perps.
Which means he's just enough of a badass to get his grundle chewed open by John C. McGinley, who plays harp.
You know nothing. In fact, you know less than nothing.
You see, Utah had a promising career in touch football until an in-game injury led to a debilitating case of testicular torsion.
I like what I'm hearing, Barry.
Yeah, them nuts got twisted. So now he's got to be a cop. And that's why they call him Joe Montana. Johnny Utah.
Barry, I'm pretty sure that's
And
not...
since this is a cop movie, Johnny Unitas here needs a sacrificial partner who'll be his perfect foil. So, of course, it's gotta be the psychopathic Gary Busey.
Hey, you guys ever notice that brain-dead wheelchair guy in Kingpin kind of looks like one of the Buseys?
Yeah, well, so does the rat creature from that Arena movie.
Kind of random, you chuds. Anyway, while Johnny Utah's getting wet with Busey, we got this band of dickhead bank robbers who go around in Halloween masks depicting former presidents, most of whom were still alive at the time this movie was produced.
Yeah, and the ex-presidents have some kind of rule where they talk tough so they don't have to dole out the old ultra-violence.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and please don't forget to vote.
Yeah, we'll get Al to explain the significance of the presidents later on.
Isn't that the same mask thing they did in the Michael Myers movies?
See, that was a Captain Kirk mask. But you are correct that the conceit is not unique to Point Break. They do something really similar in the 1987 movie Bestseller, which features James Woods and Brian Dennehy. In that movie, the robbers go around in tricky dick masks. But see, in Point Break, we get these cheeky little quasi-political quips.
We've been screwing you for years, so a few more seconds shouldn't matter, now should it?
See, back in 1991, a lot of us agreed that pretty much all the politicians were full of shit, regardless of which stupid-ass party they claimed to belong to. It was pretty great.
Not like today.
Yeah, not like today.
Not like today! Fortunately, Gary Busey has a hunch that the bank robbers are a bunch of handsome, well-toned surfer boys, because he's seen their lovely Pacific ass contours on closed-circuit camera.
That's not exactly a thorough explanation, Bovan. He thinks they're surfers because he noticed the guy's tan line. And they also found traces of Shix wax on the...
Barry! He knows they're surfers just by looking at that exquisite rumpa-dumper. Look, it's just like that roided-up jackass with the tiny peen says about his stint in prison.
What?
It's easier to identify people by looking at their southern gasket.
They only know you by your on there. They see my face, and they're like, oh, who are you again? And then I just bend over, I show them the oh, Wes Watson, how you doing, bro? What's up?
Well, apparently it's still not that easy to locate these surfer robbers.
They are ghosts.
You look like you saw a ghost.
Which is a reference to Ghost, a Patrick Swayze movie from the previous year.
Anyway, if Johnny Utah hopes to figure out who these bank-bagging surfers are, he'll have to buy a goddamn surfboard and work on his tail slide. Along the way, he runs into the piping hot Taylor.
Didn't she play the less attractive sister in that baseball movie?
Kid, why can't you be beautiful like that sister of yours? What idiot said that?
Yeah, but in this movie, she knows how to surf, and she drives a Porsche. So she's definitely hot.
Utah uses the police database to research Taylor and figures out he can use her dead parents as leverage to get close to her. Brah!
Seems deeply unethical, brah, and I'm supposed to root for this asshole?
He's not amoral. He'll do anything to win, is basically it.
Well, I ain't buying it, Johnny Mnemonic.
But Utah has no choice. Getting closer to Taylor means getting closer to those sexy surfers and their immaculate bleached blonde bums.
Yeah. Eventually, of course, Johnny Utah has to cross paths with Patrick Swayze's character Bodhi, which is short for Bodhisattva. And don't worry, we'll get Al to explain the Buddhist implications later on.
Yeah, and Kathryn Bigelow does a pretty good job juxtaposing the surfing and the robbing.
I know I was attracted to it right from the beginning because I love the paradox that it's set up. You have these two worlds in direct opposition to one another, the world of surfing juxtaposed with the sort of penal system.
The important thing for now is that Utah and Bodhi take part in a match of beach football that serves pretty much the same erotically charged purpose as the volleyball scene from Top Gun.
Yeah, and when Bodhi says that Utah's board reminds him of a 57 Chevy, it's a reference to his character's car from Dirty Dancing.
That's a surfboard, all right. Looks like a 57 Chevy I used to have.
Hey, here's a fun fact. This is Leo Carrillo, the exact same beach where they filmed the beach stuff for the original Karate Kid movie.
And let me just say, all kidding aside, revisiting this movie made me realize that P. Swayze was a much better actor than I ever gave him credit for.
Please, God, don't call him P. Swayze, Barry, and take off those goddamn Oakley knockoffs.
P. Swayze manages to generate a perfect capture the Bodhi character, his shaggy, doe-eyed naivete, the perilous idealism of his coffeehouse brand of anarchy, which we know on a gut level can't be sustained.
This was never about money for us. It was about us against the system. That system that kills the human spirit. We stand for something. To those dead souls inching along the freeways in their metal coffins, we show them that the human spirit is still alive.
Anyway, Utah and Taylor eventually decide to do the old beach bang routine. But we all know they're both thinking of Bodhi, whose greatest desire is to get mythically pounded by the ocean and its vast watery womb.
And when it hits Bell's Beach, it'll turn into the biggest surf this planet has ever seen, and I will be there.
Yeah, there's a pretty good fight scene with Bodhi and Utah taking on some of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I guess some of the guys from Puddle of Mud or Saliva or whatever.
See? This is why it's impossible to dislike Bodhi.
The shit pot really comes to a boil when Utah's dumbass finally makes the connection that Bodhi is the ringleader of the masked surfer boy bank robbers.
But then Utah's love life goes upside down quicker than a bat's ass once Taylor learns that good old Utah lied about having dead parents to make it seem like they had that in common.
A liar!
At one point, Pappas and Utah managed to stake out the correct bank that Bodhi's about to strike. But Pappas feels that he could really sharpen up his detective skills by, eating 2 full meatball subs, which brings us to friend of the show Rusty's favorite line.
Utah, give me 2.
Meatballs notwithstanding, handsome Utah manages to cock-block Bodhi's bank job. And there's a wonderful Ferris Bueller-esque chase sequence.
Until Utah re-aggravates that old testicular injury from his touch football days.
And as we all know, Utah is too straight-laced to blow around inside Bodhi, so instead he pulls out and blows a whole clip into the big wide sky.
And who could blame him? Just look at Bodhi's puppy dog eyes.
At this point, everybody knows the score. But Bodhi's still in control, so he forces Utah into a treacherous skydiving mission by, inviting him.
You are gonna love it. So we gotta get your stuff and get out of here.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that Stellan Skarsgård scene from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. You know, a lot of times in movies you have characters who use guns or violence to force people into dangerous scenarios. But the most interesting cases are when the would-be killer exploits the power of the social contract.
Did I force you? Did I drag you in? No. All I had to do was offer you a drink.
Anyway, we get this very effective Cold War between Utah and Bodhi.
Who packed my shoe? I did. Why? You don't trust me?
It's almost like something from a Scorsese movie, where the protagonist has to keep cool around the villain so he doesn't blow his cover.
And we get this rather seductive skydiving sequence.
Here's another fun fact. This scene was shot over Lake Powell in Utah. As of today, in 2025, Lake Powell's water level has dropped by like 150 feet, so a lot of the waterways you see here are now just raw canyon walls. Bruh, it's drier than Shania's meat tunnel down there.
Mark, you better clap them lips or I'm gonna change your Facebook profile back to that image of Barry's ass.
Hey!
Yo, that's not fair, Shania.
Shut up, asswipes. So, it turns out that Bodhi has been pulling a power play on Utah. He may talk like a Tennessee Buddhist, but he's got Hot Taylor tied up for ransom.
Which means that Utah has to agree to knock off one last bank with the ex-presidents. Otherwise, Taylor goes to that big beach house in the sky.
Only this time, Bodhi's luck finally runs out because Pat Bet David here is an off-duty cop who teams up with Kevin from The Office. A pulse-racing firefight ensues. We've got shotguns, SIGs, Glocks, you name it. And everybody knows that when the blood starts flowing, that's when Bovan achieves peak arousal. Barry, you'd better classify this movie as a certified banger right now, or the pants are coming off.
Barry, does he mean his pants or yours?
Hey, shut up, shut up! Okay, folks, I'm calling it right now. Point Break is a goddamn certified banger.
Bang that shit, Barry!
Yeah, so things look pretty bad for Utah. But good old Pappas has his back in this memorable exchange between Pappas and Hop.
I was in this bureau when you were still popping zits on your funny face and jacking off to the lingerie section of the Sears catalog.
Instead of locking up Utah, Pappas takes him to the airport where yet another gunfight blows Pappas and his meatball sandwiches all the way to Riverside.
Grody Bodhi's headed to Mexico to escape the feds. But as we mentioned earlier, his fantasy is collapsing under its own weight. Even Utah's dopey ass can see it. And despite Bodhi's little plan, it's obvious that Roach is a-dying.
The plan is for Bodhi and company to bail out and leave Utah on the plane, which leads us to this very badass, iconic shot.
Adios, amigo!
No CGI, folks. That shit's for real.
But despite his aching scrote, young Utah still shows some serious sack. And then, just before Bodhi and Utah slam into the ground like a couple of freshly hammered dog turds, it's...
And Barry!
Time to get paid!
Okay, you filthy degenerates. I know you've all been waiting for this one. Today's episode is endorsed by our good friends at Poorhaus, who have just released a delightful new piece of commuter tech. Put your bankrupt hands together for the broke-a-pult. Sons of bitches. Look, we know none of you penniless bottom feeders can afford to buy a car. And even if you could, you probably couldn't afford to gas the fucker up. Not to mention the traffic, the toll roads, or whatever. But put in just a bit of elbow grease on the old tension winch and the broke-a-pult will propel you quickly and efficiently up to damn near a country mile. Fire in the hairy hole! Jackpot, bitches! That's probably just far enough to get you within striking distance of your workplace, right?
Yeah, but how are they supposed to get back?
Yeah, I guess they can hitchhike or steal a Kia off some rich-ass white.
Ah, who are we kidding? None of you have jobs. Listen, the broke-a-pult will sling you to within convenient walking distance of the closest all-hours pubs or dog tracks or whatever courthouse or parole office you're required to appear at. Just remember to tuck them legs.
Suck it, you chuds. No, not Falconvania.
Hey-o! Ah, my beehole.
Order today, and they'll throw in a complimentary wing suit.
Well, will it increase my range?
Not really, but it will make you look like more of an asshole.
Yeah, but we gotta adjust the angle of incidence, Bovard. Otherwise, my fat ass won't even clear the...
Tuck them legs, brah.
Yeah, Barry, tuck them goddamn legs.
Shit ass.
Okay, folks, the promo code is poverty-powered.
Game on!
So the finale of this movie marks the dissolution of Bodhi's whole fantasy. Johnny Utah has retwisted his poor testy.
Well, in reality, they'd both be dead as shit if they pulled the ripcord at such a low altitude, but who's keeping score?
Meanwhile, poor Bug here has bled out on the way down.
Hey, his name is Roach, Barry. You goddamn pot-bellied bigot.
Hey, wasn't Patrick Swayze a fairly accomplished skydiver in real life?
Yes, he completed over 50 jumps for this movie alone. The studio had to issue a cease and desist because he and the other cast members kept...
Yes, it's been well established that the man was a real-life Bodhi.
There were people that wanted me to play Johnny Utah. And when I said no to Johnny Utah, I felt Bodhi was the only character I wanted to play in this movie.
Now get on with it.
As the story progresses, we pay witness to a less obvious dimension of Bodhi's character. Like all gurus, he has to be willing to sacrifice everyone else in order to keep his impossible fantasy well inflated.
Look, Bodhi, man, people are dead. The ride is over.
Yeah, but at least he doesn't eliminate Taylor.
Sure, but at this point, Taylor ain't enough for Johnny Utah and his battered scrotum. Utah follows Bodhi to the ass end of God's stinking earth, which, well, it happens to be Bell's Beach along the coast of Australia.
Potentially one of the worst storms in Australia's history.
Bro, that's not Australia. Look at them trees. That looks a lot like Cannon Beach in Oregon. You know, pretty close to where they filmed some of those beach scenes in the Goonies.
Shut up, asswipe. So the storm of the century has arrived in, Australia. But Utah wants desperately to put Bodhi into a nice, handsome pair of handcuffs and then swallow the key with a nice shot of Bundaberg rum.
Yeah, but some sexy birds aren't meant to be caged.
My whole life has been about this moment, Johnny. Come on, compadre.
And Bodhi asks Utah for a proper surfer's death.
Vaya con Dios.
And we get the poetic ending. Almost kind of mythical. Instead of being taken into police custody, Bodhi gets to surrender himself to the ocean's salty womb. It's actually kind of beautiful.
And Utah is forever changed. Bodhi has transformed him from a stiff-ass cop to a dedicated surfer.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Utah wasn't that stiff to begin with.
I love these things.
See, Harper's the real tight ass. So has Utah really changed that much?
Piss off, Barry! Look, every time Utah catches a killer tube or does a header from a plane or hears a lurid joke about Nancy Reagan's legendary fellatio skills, he will whisper Bodhi's name gently into the salted breeze.
One of the things I appreciate about this movie is how Kathryn Bigelow captures a sense of Southern California that we don't always get to see. There's a raw, almost brutal sensibility to a lot of the exteriors. It's like we're visiting the backlots of SoCal, looking past the well-manicured facades of landscapes and characters alike. I don't know, this kind of aesthetic isn't unique to Point Break, especially not these days, but I do like it.
Man, LA has changed a lot. The air got dirty and the sex got clean.
Okay, Al, hit us with your dollar store sophistry. S-wipe.
In Point Break, Kathryn Bigelow offers us not just a tale of crime and adrenaline, but a modern Zen parable. Surfing, that most ephemeral of pursuits, becomes the film's central metaphor, a dance along the proverbial fault line. The ocean waves embody nature's raw kinetic power, indifferent, untamed, and fleeting. To surf is not to conquer the natural world, but to harmonize with it for a moment. To ride the parabola where brute force and organic flow struggle for primacy. And Bodhi, the surfer sage criminal, seeks that boundary again and again, not to win, but to lose himself in it. The ex-president masks, absurd and iconic, serve as ironic armor. Bodhi and company rob banks, not just for money, but to mock the traditional symbols of American order. Nixon, Reagan, Johnson, Carter, the very faces of rigid control, hypocrisy, and exploitation. By donning those masks, the surfers become grinning, jeering ghosts of the American empire. And Bodhi, short for Bodhisattva, is no accidental namesake. Like the Buddhist figure, he delays his own attainment of full-on nirvana, dragging others along his path toward freedom, even destruction, if that's what it takes to wake them up. For in his view, it is not safety, but surrender that allows us a glimpse of the eternal. Okay, back to you, bedwetter Baldy.
Elitist shit-ass. Okay, that's all we got for now, lowlifes. Tune in next time. We're gonna order the whole menu over there at Long John Silver's. Then we're gonna fight over the toilet.
Every day is an adventure.
Yeah, and then Marco's gonna show us all how to make our own street vendor cart by using just one roll of common aluminum foil.
We grilling it all. Got some porcupine shanks, marinated swan breast. You name it, brah.
Yeah, we're all gonna make a bundle. S-wipes. Little anorexic bitch!
In 3, be nice.
Yeah, but what if they call me fat or poor?
If somebody gets in your face and calls you
That's why.
I want you to be nice.
Yeah, well, maybe I want you to buy a new shirt, looking like Steve Jobs if he lived in a trailer.
Impossible to walk in this muck. No footing at all.
Pop quiz, hot shot.